Anita, how's your mental health?
Questionable at all times. You know this.
Yeah, how's the mental health of your children?
Also a little bit tricky. Can I tell you my experience in trying to find therapists for myself and my kids, Mel?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is how it goes. You ask around your friends and your family for a referral for somebody who's nearby. You finally find somebody who sounds like they might work for your family. You give them a call and you find out that A, they're not accepting new patients, or B, they have a huge wait list. So you start over again and you ask people if they know anybody who would be a good therapist and a good fit. Finally, you find one, you go and you meet with them and you figure out that you don't actually like them that much. But it's been so much work to find somebody who you can go to in your area that you're kind of stuck with them. Well, do you have any ideas for how to get around this?
I do, because guess what? I've actually had some therapists that I have found on my own, which involves what you're saying. Sometimes I remember one time I was like 3 hours in the bathtub on my phone looking through websites. I was such a prune at the end. But I have also had the experience with working with BetterHelp. And it was like, I don't want to say too good to be true, but because it is true, but it's like amazing because I was matched with my therapist within 24 hours.
And you didn't have to go through all of that other ridiculous process of trying to find somebody. And here's the cool thing too, is if that person didn't work out for you, you can just switch and say, and it's not like you're committing to another years long search for somebody who you're going to jive with.
It's true. And I lucked out, or maybe just BetterHelp is really good at matching people together because I never had to change my therapist. I loved her. Perfect fit for me. And I know that some of our friends have used BetterHelp and they've had to change therapists, and boom, same day, you can change.
Easy peasy.
You can ghost your therapist. Get a new one.
I love this idea. BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. If you use our promo code trybetterhelp.com/WWDN, you get 10% off your first month. And we totally recommend it.
Yes. Get some therapy. That's trybetterhelp.com/WWDN. Hey, everyone.
Hey, guys.
This is... Okay, you do it. You be the director.
No, you go first.
I don't know what I'm going to say now.
Oh, just say hi. This is Mel. Hi, welcome to our podcast, Widow We Do Now. This is Anita.
And Mel.
This is where we try and figure some stuff out.
We talk a little bit.
Make some jokes.
Get off topic.
Try and help others understand grief.
Talk about funny stuff that has happened in the grief process.
And mostly we just try to figure out
Widow We Do Now.
That's pretty good. Okay.
If we can get through this episode,
it's going to be amazing.
Win. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know about you, Mel, but I have been contacted by several people in the last few months who have a family member or a friend or somebody who's going through a crisis, and they ask me what they should do.
I have had this happen, yes.
Yeah, so this episode, we're going to kind of talk about that. Our experiences, what was helpful. I think we're going to mostly focus on what was helpful.
We want to try and be positive because it's really easy to get negative.
We're going to do another episode on dumb stuff people say.
Oh, but I really have some good ones.
I know, but we're going to get to it.
Can I just tell one today?
Yes.
Please.
Yes, you can.
Thank you.
Okay. So, first of all, I want to say two things. One of those things is if you're listening and you're a part of either Mel or my actual story, do not be offended.
Yes.
Right? Because maybe we're going to say something and you're going to go, oh, I did or did not do that.
Or
and it's okay.
Maybe we're going to forget that you were there because our brains don't work.
Yeah. So just know that we're highly appreciative of everything that everybody does. It's coming from a place of love and not a place of trying to do something that was maybe not helpful.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. And then the second thing that I wanted to say was that every single grief story, crisis, whatever, is so different.
It is.
So some things that were good for us may not be good for somebody else.
That's why this is so tricky.
And it's a little demoralizing.
It is, because we all like formulas and we like lists and we like things to be black and white. And the truth is that it just is not.
Yeah. You want to be like, if A happens, flowchart, do D, E, and F, right? And maybe that isn't helpful for different personalities or situations.
For example, I am not one, I think I talked about this last time, but I'm not one that usually is comfortable with a ton of people at my house. I'm an introvert. I get overwhelmed with lots of different people. However, when Scott died, it was so helpful to have that many people supporting me and that loved Scott and that loved me in the house. Now, a friend of a friend's husband just passed away unexpectedly, heart attack, and she, the widow, does not want anybody to come over. She shut everybody out. And that's working for her. That's how she's processing it. And that person, you would think, would want more people to come over to her house based on her personality. So it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's tricky. And I'll say this too. It really depends on your relationship with that person. You could have the relationship of a very close friend or a family member where you know that person really well. And you kind of have more of a sense of when you should push and when you should let them take the steering wheel and say, no, I don't want people. If you're a friend but not a close friend, or maybe you're just an acquaintance, you're in a different role than if you're somebody who's an immediate family member or a really close friend. So I think it depends on what your relationship is also.
Yes.
As to what you do. Because maybe somebody who is a really close friend of somebody who is shutting people out might say, look, no, you got to do it different. And that might be appreciated. But if somebody that didn't know them very well did that, would probably not go over well.
Yeah.
So
I agree. I call this phase 1.
Phase 1.
Here we go. I
sort of felt like that was from Street Fighter. Phase 1, fight.
I have a story about that. It's relevant.
Okay.
To Street Fighter.
Okay.
So sometimes when you play on TV shows and you have to have a headpiece in your ear. I'm talking about music, by the way.
Yeah, because I always play the piano on TV.
You do, every day.
Every day of my life.
So one time I was on a TV show playing with a band, and we had a feed going into our ear that had the click for the music to go in.
Like the metronome?
Yeah. And normally it can be anything. It could just be 4 clicks. It could be somebody pre-recorded saying 1, 2, 3, 4. But my friend that made the track is hilarious. And he, instead of clicking in 1, 2, 3, 4, his count in was 1, 2, 3, fight! And I sort of didn't know that was coming, and then I started laughing. Oh. When the song started, which was like a mellow song, and it was pretty great.
It was like a love song or something.
Yeah.
And Mel's over there laughing.
It was like a breakup song or something.
Phase 1. Fight.
So I think phase 1 would, for me, I would call it the time of the death leading up to the funeral. So for me, tons of people are around.
Should you visit? What do you think?
Yeah.
I think we kind of addressed this, but I think it depends on the person, their personality, and what vibe they're giving off. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, though. So I had a similar situation to Mel in that we had a ton of people show up, and it was just one person after another, after another, after another, and I loved it. Except I appreciated it when people kept their visits brief.
Yes.
Right? I would get overwhelmed, especially when there would be a lot of people in the room and there would be different conversations and people would be catching up with each other about certain things, and it was just really loud and it got to be overwhelming. So sometimes I would catch myself thinking, go away, like it's great that you guys are having a family reunion or whatever, but I don't want to hear about your daughter's scholarship for lacrosse. That did not actually happen, so I feel safe about saying that. Okay. my great aunt Edna is not going to be offended because she heard that I was upset about that.
For my experience, there were a ton of people in the house, but I was in the upstairs master bedroom.
I thought you were going to say something else.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm cutting it out. Okay.
So soon, Mel?
Well, no. I am also a murderer. Come on. Okay. Are you shocked at anything?
No, I am not. Okay.
My experience when there were a ton of people in the house, because my bedroom was upstairs, a lot of those conversations happened downstairs. So I did not have that happen.
Okay.
But I did appreciate when the visits were short. I appreciated it when they came in and kind of the thing that ended up happening is people would come up. They would see me. We would lock eyes. We would cry.
Yeah.
And then we'd start laughing about something and talk. And that happened over and over and over and over. So I appreciated people that came in that expressed their sorrow and concern and condolences. But then that didn't keep it in the, no pun intended, but also kind of the grave category. You know?
Yeah.
I had a lot of people come over that know my personality and that know that I'm wacky and that I am 5 years old and that I love cats and dogs and unicorns. And so people brought me stuff that was really specific for me.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of friends that just know me really well. So it's like a blanket that was really soft. I love blankets. That was helpful. A unicorn onesie.
Which is
I wore it.
Super bizarre, but worked for
Not
you.
for me.
I should mention that we both had winter-ish deaths.
Yeah.
So the blankie and I was just like shaking the whole time. And I hung out in the living room with all of the people, and it was my code word when I would say, I need to go to the bathroom. That was like, I need to get out of the fray, and I would just go into my bedroom for however long I needed to just like, but sometimes
Did you have like your safe person?
Yeah. My immediate family knew what that meant.
Okay.
They knew that I was needing to get away from just the chaos, because it was just a lot of loud, and your brain, it goes into, cannot deal with that much input. It is like having a concussion, which you should know about since you've done both.
Yeah.
So it can't process all of that input, and then you just start to feel crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So unicorn onesie was helpful.
Helpful for me.
People who brought stuff like that.
Blankets. The reason why blankets were important, I noticed, is because I would put them around my whole body, of course, but then around my face and my neck. And there was something about that was really comforting. Like when you're a little baby, I guess.
Yeah,
and
like they swaddled you.
Yeah. I didn't know that would be a thing. And I noticed that the next day is when the day after Scott died, I started doing that, and it helped. Comforted me. And then having stuff pressed against my body, like a bear or a pillow. Bear, not a real bear. I mean,
a grizzly bear. And then I got mauled. So thanks, Gina, for bringing me a grizzly bear.
So there are things that I think comfort you physically.
Right.
Gifts like that.
Mm-hmm.
Food we've already talked about. Bread is the gift of grief.
Keeps giving. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so here's something too. I hear so many times that people are scared to reach out because they're scared about saying the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say this. Do it.
Me too.
It's better to reach out and say something stupid than to not say anything at all.
Yep.
Most grievers, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say, can appreciate where you're trying to come from, and hopefully not get offended if you do say something stupid. But then they might make fun of you, and that's okay because they still know that you were trying to reach out, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the better way to do it. Sometimes we assume that unless we had a huge life insurance payout, we don't really need to know anything about investments or even finances. But guess what? A little knowledge of finances is critical for all of us. Maybe your partner was in charge of that stuff, and now you find yourself making all the decisions. Maybe you're mad about that. Maybe I am. Nicole from the He's Gone But the Money's Not podcast is here to help. She tackles financial literacy by telling the stories of women and widows and finance experts and shares the lessons they've learned as certified financial planners. Whether you know a lot and feel confident in your financial decisions or feel unsure about all of that stuff, there is more to learn. Listen and subscribe to the He's Gone, But the Money's Not podcast on all podcast platforms. This ad was paid for by Rockhouse Financial, an SEC registered investment advisor.
I was in such a fog that no matter how somebody reached out, it didn't offend me at all.
Yeah.
All that I could process from it was there's a person that's sending well wishes to me.
That cares.
Yeah. And that's, for me, that's where I was at.
Here's something that I feel like is 100% almost. Okay, nothing's ever 100%, but pretty foolproof.
You're so analytical and specific.
It can't be 100%.
Yeah.
Well, it's just that I know of a situation where this might not be the case.
Okay.
And so I'm like, ugh.
Okay. Tell me.
Okay. So if you're going to write down something, first of all, do it. We covered that. Do it. Second of all, do not expect a reply. You may get one. Great. You may get one reply and then the conversation will stop. But you need to just send it and then let it go. And I actually found it helpful when people would say, I do not expect a reply, because then it didn't make me feel guilty that I wasn't able to respond to everybody. And my brain just wasn't able to organize and talk to the people, respond to a lot of people. Okay. But then I was getting off track. If you are going to send a text or a card, people who write, I'm so sorry for your loss or whatever, that's great. But it doesn't really do much, except for it's better than nothing. So my suggestion is that you write a memory or some way that person affected your life, or something that they taught you, or something that you will keep with you, right? I loved hearing people's memories or stories or the things that they would remember about Jason. Those meant so much more than just the I'm so sorry. So that's my almost 100% foolproof. Put it in the card, write down a memory, make it personal somehow like that.
Try to personalize it as much as you can. Yeah, you're right. And can I just say, I don't know if I'm in a minority here, and I know this is maybe a quirk, but I hate the phrase, I'm so sorry for your loss. Because to me, I take it like, I'm sorry for your loss. It's not my loss, but like, sorry. I know it doesn't mean that.
You're right.
But it's always bothered me. So if there's another way to say, I'm so sorry for this loss, or I'm sorry you're going through, or we love you, or we care about you, something that's different. And I know that I personally am
You're weird about
a
that
weirdo
one.
about that, because that's just...
Well, I just think if you can say something like a memory, then you can just avoid the generic sorry at all.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, if you really didn't know that person, maybe you worked with their spouse or something like that, it's still better than nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's how I feel.
Yeah.
But it can be a lot more. I got a lot of really personal text. That sounds weird.
Wow.
I got a lot of steamy personal text.
I mean, you did wear that dress to the viewing.
This is before the viewing, though. This is when I was still like haggard and pretty terrible looking.
Maybe it fueled you to wear that dress.
Yeah, maybe because I needed to look stunning or something. What do you think about what people can do for you? Like how they can serve you.
Okay.
Help you. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I can tell a few experiences that were helpful for me.
Okay. Go.
One of my friends would drop sodas off on the doorstep, and I
Okay.
didn't have to answer the door if I didn't want to.
Okay.
And
just for you. These sodas were for your consumption and your consumption alone?
only for me.
Okay.
Yes.
So I had a similar, except for different. A neighbor brought over a cooler and stuck it on my front porch, and it was full of drinks for all of the people who were at my house, and they just kept refilling it. So it was like the bottomless
That's awesome.
drink pit.
Good idea.
It was such a
They
good
should
idea.
be our guest on this podcast. They can just tell us their ideas.
Yeah, and the other thing is that somebody brought food for the people who were at my house because I'm not going to feed them.
Yeah.
Right. So they got like those Costco sandwiches and just brought them over. The ones that you like build your own sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
Super helpful. I wasn't going to eat them, but it was good for the people, all the people who were there, so they could have a drink and a little sandwich. Okay. Sorry.
I like that. I remember for Scott's brothers and their families, their neighbors took food over a ton.
Yeah.
And they also gave them those big, gigantic Costco bears.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like huge
those
ones.
huge ones. Yeah.
And I think they called him the Uncle Bear because the kids were really close to Scott. And so...
And they were pretty small? The kids were young?
The kids were, I think the oldest was 11. Youngest was a baby.
Right.
So yeah, little kids, and they're like 8 or 9 of them. 8 or 9.
8 or 9 of them.
Yeah, and so that was helpful for them because the kids didn't understand.
Yeah.
And that was their uncle. So you have kids whose father has died. So what was helpful for the kids?
So it's so funny because you're talking about the teddy bears, and I'm like, people brought teddy bears, super nice, but the huge teddy bears would have made me go crazy.
Really?
Because I would have been like, now I have 4 giant teddy bears that
you sleep on them,
that
though.
need a home to live. Yeah, but kids are terrible, and they take stuff off of their bed and they don't put it back. Anyway, you can cut that out.
I'm keeping it in because then it helped one family, but it was not your thing.
Yeah.
You just never know.
You never know.
And that's why it's scary. And that's why people withdraw and don't do anything.
Okay. Can we talk about food?
Yeah.
So we had tons of people bring food. It is human nature. You want to fix it. You want to do something, right? And food is the immediate, like, we know what to do. We can take food. I still have food in my freezer that we have not eaten, and it's been 9 months.
Whoa.
So I'm going to make this suggestion to you. If you want to take them something, take them a gift card to a restaurant that you can drive through or order out. Because on like really bad days, I even didn't want to put anything in the oven. So it was nice to be able to order pizza. And even a step further, if you can contact maybe a family member of theirs, maybe not them personally, but a family member, and say, what do their kids like to eat? What are their favorite restaurants? Right? I think that is nice because it doesn't go bad and it's less effort. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Great.
Instead of just bringing over lots and lots of freezer meals, because then, yeah.
Except guess what was helpful for me?
Freezer meals.
Freezer meals, because I couldn't drive.
Yeah, okay.
After. And sometimes my depression still gets so bad that I won't go out and do that. And I won't order out.
Will you have it delivered though?
Nope. Not if I have to pay $2.99 fee.
Okay, but if somebody gives you a gift card, I feel like sometimes that makes it like mad money for me. Like, I would never pay for it to be delivered, but if somebody gave me a gift card, then I'm like, oh, it's not my money anyway.
Yes, that's true.
So.
If it's not my money, then yeah. But I still have my normal human behavior of I do not want to pay extra for this delivery fee.
Yeah, it's true.
So
I can see that.
Yeah.
I did get a lot of freezer meals that were delicious and wonderful, and we totally ate them. But sometimes that was too much effort. And also, we're in a little bit different positions as well, because I have kids, you don't have kids. And here's a newsflash. Most children don't like casseroles.
That's true.
They don't like stuff to be all mixed together. And so if I was trying to feed my kids something that I had to talk them into eating, it was like a non-starter. So a casserole, trying to get my kids to eat that. And when I'm like fighting with them about that, I didn't eat that. So kids are much more willing to eat pizza and
nuggets,
Chick-fil-A,
tasty Dino Bites. Is that a cereal?
No, they're chicken nuggets. They're shaped like dinosaurs.
I always wanted those as a kid. My mom fed me healthy food.
Me too.
Remember Kid Cuisine?
Yes.
I wanted it all the time, and I think
in the blue box.
Yes.
With the penguin on it.
Yes, and like the weird Jello pudding looking stuff that was probably
I
gross.
always just wanted Lunchables so bad.
Yeah. I got them sometimes.
I think I got it like twice. And now I'm like, those are terrible.
They're disgusting.
The meat is all like
It's chewy.
Yeah. And they give Lunchables out at my kids' school when they go like on a field trip.
Weird.
And my kids are like, ew, I hate Lunchables. I'm like, you don't even know.
The 80s were so different.
And when they came out with like the build your own pizza,
What? Little pepperonis?
mind blown.
So fun.
But then I just had to eat like cracked wheat.
for school lunch.
No.
Did your mom send you to school with porridge?
No. Please, Mom, can I have some more? She did not. But she did try to like feed us healthy breakfasts.
Yeah.
And like always whole wheat bread and super random. Are you ready?
Good job, Jane. Yes.
When I was little, I think I was in 2nd grade. I had a Toucan Sam backpack. You know Toucan Sam?
Yeah.
I
Fruit Loops.
loved my Toucan Sam backpack. My mom sent me to school with home lunch, cut up green bell peppers in a Ziploc baggie. I left them in my bag for a long, long time. And there was a smell that everybody was like, where is that coming from? And remember how I said I was raised by wolves?
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. They found it finally. The green peppers in the Toucan Sam backpack.
But you ate it, right?
No.
Because then you went after
No,
that
'cause-
to get some gum from the bleachers.
No, because the reason I didn't eat them in the first place is what little kid likes to eat green bell peppers?
Nobody.
No little kid. And so they had to throw away my Toucan Sam backpack.
Oh.
That was
dang
my
it.
first loss. My first experience with loss
Your first true love.
was Toucan Sam,
The backpack.
the backpack. Okay.
So we're talking about the first week, basically.
Yeah.
Really early grief.
Yeah.
So there are funeral plans that are happening. There's a lot of people at the house. So it's crazy times. What about getting your kids to bed? What was that like? Do we even dare?
It's still, that is, So the week after Jason died, my kids thought it was a party. There was people here. I'm not even joking. Like they thought that they were so loved and popular. People were bringing them presents. There was unlimited soda, which is not a good idea for kids, right? They were so wired, and it was crazy. But I had lots of family there who tried to put him to bed, but it was not happening very easily. Bedtime is still a huge struggle for us. It's probably the worst time of the day. I hate it. But
You can't just drug them.
yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yes.
So my sister brought over a bottle of melatonin maybe it was the first night. I don't know. I was like, I don't know about this. I don't think it's going to work. Dude. I stuck that in their mouths and they were gone. And I was like, I love this stuff. You're my new best friend. I don't give it to him every night, but if I'm like needing assistance or I just can't handle it, I'm like, here's some melatonin.
Here's your friend,
Here's
Uncle
your
Melatonin.
Uncle melatonin. Yeah. So
that
that
is helpful for your kids.
yeah, on that note, so when you're trying to think of things to do to help, people offer, let me know if you need anything, right? It's sort of like, I'm sorry for your loss. It's the generic statement. And most people mean it.
And I still say it too, and I have to catch myself.
Yeah.
It's just a natural thing.
So again, this goes back to you have to know how close you are to that person. But I would say put yourself in their shoes. Ask yourself, what do they need to do from day to day? What is something specific that I can do to help them? So I'll give you a for instance.
Okay.
A lady who lives up the street came to my house and did homework with my kids for the first couple of months. That was very helpful. And it was something that I wouldn't have known to ask for help because it wouldn't have been on my radar. Also had somebody who went and bought funeral clothes for the kids and for me for the funeral. So very specific help. This is what I want you to do. And that reminded me of the people who called your students,
Yes.
right? Very specific help, not just a blanket, call me if you need anything.
Because really, we don't know what we need. That's why. And the other thing is I am probably not comfortable reaching out if I do need something. Like in my pre-Scott death life, I never asked for help. And if I did ask for help once in a while, it's because I was in dire need.
Yeah, desperate.
Independent. I am independent. Not anymore.
Not anymore. Here's another thing. Don't be offended if we say no. I had a lot of people offer specific things too, but I just didn't think they would be very helpful. And sometimes I wanted to say yes because I didn't want to offend them. And then I was like, no, I need to do what I think is going to be best. So if you offer it and it's not taken up, don't be offended.
And that's awesome that you still offered it. We appreciate it.
Yeah, really, like really and truly.
Mm-hmm.
Even if the offer isn't accepted.
Okay, so this doesn't fall so much in the first week of grief. This falls still in the early stages, I guess, but as we record this, I'm almost 2 years out of Scott passing away, and people would ask me to go to lunch, and they would want me to like go meet them somewhere, or they would want to take me somewhere, or it just meant leaving my house. And I'm still not even up for that, and I wasn't up for that back then. Now that may be different for you, Anita. I know that my accident really flattened me a lot, and that had a lot to do with it. And already dealing with depression and anxiety and stuff from that was a factor. So that's not necessarily going to be the same thing for somebody else that it was for me. Yeah. But what I would say, I remember getting texts about it. Hey, Mel, do you want to go to lunch? And I'm like, I would love to if you can come to my house. And some people wouldn't come to my house. Oh, they're like, well, wait till you're fine. And I'm like, I don't know when that's going to be. And I'm still not there.
Right.
Because it's so touch and go, depending on what's happening. So for me, or for somebody that does accept the offer, but maybe suggests that that person coming to them, maybe take that compromise, I guess.
I think that's a fair point. You just have to be willing to maybe adjust your expectations of people. Can we go back to meals for a second?
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on that. So the other thing about freezer meals is that there is a finite amount of space in a freezer. So you can have 1 million gift cards in a freezer. What?
What?
You can have 1 million gift cards and you'll have space for them, but you only have enough space in your freezer for what's in the freezer. Does that make sense, what I just said?
Yes.
Okay, here's another thing that I think you should keep in mind. Don't offer it if you are not very serious about following through.
Do you have a story?
I don't think I want to get into specifics about this.
Okay.
But I will just say that there were a few things that people said they were going to do and then didn't do. And that was really hard because it disappointed me. I kind of was holding on to some of those things. And then when they didn't happen, it kind of made me a little mad at them, which I hate to admit. But it was hard because I was like, I don't need another disappointment.
Right.
Right?
Your whole life's already up in the air.
Yeah. So if you're not really serious about doing it, don't offer it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if I have any stories about that.
No?
I don't think so. I just don't remember so much because it was such a blur. I was concerned with making sure everybody that was close to Scott, friends and family, was okay with the decisions that I was making and like stuff for the funeral and all that stuff. And so just to think of those things, that was hard enough for me. Also, I didn't have kids. So you had so many more factors.
Yeah.
Like moving parts than I did.
Something that I think is universal if you have kids also is childcare. Still the case
Hey,
for
Anita,
me. What?
Do you think childcare would be a good idea?
I think so. I'm pretty sure.
I mean,
yeah. Because kids, their way of grieving is not to sit on the couch and cry. They want to run around. They have big energy. They're having crazy feelings. You just fed them 47 cans of Diet Dr. Pepper that were on your porch. And they need to go out and they need to have an outlet. So people took my kids to the park in January even, and to their house. It's still the most helpful thing to me. It's what I need the most is help with my kids, because trying to be a parent when your brain isn't working is the same thing. You can't deal with all the input, the noise, them. Think about all the things that annoy you about being a parent, Mel. Think about all those things that you hate about your children
every day,
and times it by a billion.
I mean, that's a lot because, Anita, I have 15 children.
You need to learn about birth control, Mel. That's too many children.
Don't make my choices for me,
I won't.
Anita.
Okay, I won't. Your emotional...
I want 16.
Oh, you don't. You don't know what you're saying, Mel. Your emotional bandwidth when you're grieving is limited. And everything that you have to do is taking up a chunk of that. And so when you have a very small bandwidth, being a parent is more than you've got. So, childcare.
I have an idea.
Yes.
It doesn't have to do with childcare.
Okay.
But
let's have it.
Now this is coming from the widow that has no children.
The poor widow with no children.
But I have parents, and my parents were at my house trying to take care of me, and since my parents were so focused on me, and I know they were worried and trying to deal with all sorts of things, I had a friend that came over. I mean, and again, we had like 50 people in the house, and he took my dad, and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And my dad's like, "Will you come with me to the gas station?" And my friend, Chris, hi Chris, he helped my dad so much. And whether my friend knew it at the time, it meant everything to my dad. And my dad still talks about it. And whenever we see Chris, he's like, "Hey, there's my buddy that really helped me out that day."
That's nice.
And so it's like just something for somebody that does need a little bit of a break getting out of the house. For like, that was not me, because I was like, I am staying in this bed the rest of my life. But it was helpful for my dad to have a little change of scenery and to talk about some stuff. And I don't know what they talked about. I'm sure they talked about what was happening, but maybe they talked about baseball or something too. And
who knows?
And I was appreciative because I didn't like being a burden to anybody, and I don't like my parents to worry, but the situation is what it was.
I think it's cool also just to think about if people want to be in the epicenter, and maybe the epicenter is not where you're needed.
Yeah.
So
good point.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to say, who else is in this room that might need something who's not the epicenter?
My cousin flew up.
Threw up.
Not threw up.
Flew up.
So if any of you have listened, any of our 8 friends now, maybe 8 listeners,
we're growing,
have listened to our podcast. My uncle died right before my husband died. My cousins had all flown in to Utah, but then some of them flew back home the very next day.
Oh.
And then the day after that is when Scott died. So one cousin that left on Saturday after my uncle died, on Monday flew straight back up to be with me.
She got some good sky miles.
Yeah.
That's the only good thing. And he got some good sky miles.
There you go. And he walked in and he just said, I looked in that room and I just saw the chaos of grief everywhere. Like I saw certain people on the couch. I saw all the food people had brought. I saw dishes, and he goes, I just went into gear and just said, okay, we're going to clean this up. He goes, I just looked around and looked at whoever was the most with it, grabbed that one person, which was probably his sister, my other cousin, and they just did the dishes and they threw stuff away that needed to be thrown away.
Yeah.
Like stuff like that you don't think about, like taking out the garbage.
Uh-huh.
And even the 2 young widows that visited me a little bit later after that, they came over, and one of the things that one of them said was, can I take out your garbage for you? And I'm like, that is so helpful. Thank you, because it stresses me out because I can't leave my house sometimes. And she goes, I just remember what it was like at the very beginning. And I remember just taking the garbage from the kitchen garbage to the garbage can is helpful. Or in both of our cases, it was winter. And so shoveling the driveway, I
yeah.
had some neighbors that said, hey, did Scott winterize your house? And I'm like, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
So they checked on that. And that was really helpful.
Yeah.
So thinking of things specifically. And I think and it was just like, I think people feel like they need to take care of every single responsibility in order to help. But even if they just help with one thing,
That's
and
helpful.
then another person helps with one thing, then it's way less work for the people that are helping, but it helps the person that needs the help.
Right. We kind of laughed because it snowed quite a bit after Jason died. And I would just watch. There'd be like, who can get to the snow fastest, right? There was lots of people who were like waiting to shovel my driveway. Now, I don't know if that will be the case this year, because last year in the winter, it was still brand new, and I don't know that it will be the same. And honestly, I'm just not going to shovel my driveway. I'm just going to pull out in the snow and
Live your dreams.
live my dreams. Like, who gives a flying? I don't know.
Flying truck.
Yes.
Yep. Not you.
Yes, not me. But we'll see about that. My sister-in-law, Danielle, told me pretty early this really great theory, way of thinking about things. I'm not sure what to call it. But she had some experience with a different kind of grief. I think she'd read it somewhere. But it was, what do I want to call it?
She framed it
A
for you?
framework. A framework maybe is a framework that was the concentric circles of grief, right? And she explained it that, so in the middle is the person that's closest to the loss, and then there's a ring outside of that, which would be, so if I'm the very middle because I'm Jason's wife, then the ring outside of that would be his kids. The ring outside of that would be his sisters and his parents. The ring outside of that would be my family. The ring outside of that would be friends. And, there might be situations where friends are closer than family or whatever, but you just have to, you get the idea, right? The person in the middle is the closest, and then you make rings out. Acquaintances are going to be on the very farthest out ring. And the rule of thumb is that you support in and you complain out. So you don't ever complain to a person who's in a ring that's more close to the middle.
Ooh.
Yeah. You're just there to support if you're on the outside of that person. And if you're on the inside, then you support in, complain out, which is really nice. I thought that was a great way to frame things so that people aren't complaining to the people who are like really suffering. And the person who's really in the middle of it is like, why are you so upset? Right? They should listen to you complain.
Yeah. That's great.
Don't you wish somebody had explained that to you?
Yeah, that's really cool.
And we actually had a family meeting and she talked about it there. So that was really nice.
A family meeting? What's a
Yes.
family meeting?
Oh my gosh.
Other than the obvious.
So right after, well, I can't remember if it was between the funeral or not. I can't remember. But we got everybody in my family together. In-laws, Jason's sisters, actually, I don't know if my kids were there or not. It was just basically a meeting where I kind of laid some, I don't want to say ground rules because that makes it sound like I was like, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, but things that would be helpful to me, things that would not be helpful to me, what I wanted to see help look like, what I didn't want to see help look like, especially with my kids. That was really a daunting idea because I didn't choose to parent with all of the people that I needed help from. So it was sort of like, this is what I need from you, and this is not what I need from you. So that was our family meeting.
How did it go?
It was really helpful. Actually, I was just talking to my therapist a couple days ago, and she was like, maybe you need to have another one of those because now you're a little bit further out. Your needs are changing a little bit. So, I don't know. May or may not happen. Probably won't. It's too much effort. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
Sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
You have a lot of good things to say. I don't. My stuff's about unicorns.
No, I think that's
and
great.
a Bob Ross game.
What does that even mean?
There is a Bob Ross board game. My friend Joel brought it over, and I'm like, this is the best day of my life,
for
except
one of my
it's
kids.
the worst at the same time.
Was it actually fun?
I haven't played it yet.
Let's play it.
Okay.
I want to play it.
I can't wait.
Your boyfriend wants to play it too.
Oh, he loves me.
One of my kids is Mel's boyfriend because he loves Mel.
I really am a hit with the 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Is he 10?
He's 9.
Yeah.
But
9,
that's-
10. That's
yeah.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it's because you have pink hair.
I know. Oh,
What?
and my earring fell off.
That's too bad. It's so cute. It's like, I don't even know how to explain that. It's like
Listen.
a bag of fish.
Imagine that you go to the pet store and you
Yeah.
get a
Goldfish in a
sandwich
sack.
bag, and you just buy a goldfish at the pet store.
Yeah.
That's what my earring is. It is.
But it's not a real fish.
No.
It just looks like it.
Yeah.
You should get
What?
a real fish earring one day. You should go to the pet store.
Wait, it's gonna tear off my earlobe.
You're going to have to get a small fish and a small bag. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah, but like,
It would be like swimming around on your ear.
okay, I'll do it if you make it for me.
It won't be nice if I do it. It
I
will be
don't
like
care.
a sandwich bag and like a twist tie, duct tape.
Okay, I'll do it if you make it,
Okay.
no matter how bad it looks.
Yes.
I mean, it's me. I have no fear. Look at me.
So awesome. And then you have like a minnow on your ear.
Tiny minnow.
Why has nobody worn that to like the Oscars?
Maybe they have. Maybe Lady Gaga has.
Lady Gaga, we just gave you the best idea.
Anita is going to design your next
May I be your
outfit.
stylist? Which would be a terrible idea. Except for
I
the
need
goldfish.
a coil couture. That's the brand.
I have
Look
no
for
other
it.
good ideas. I have no other good ideas. Except for I just got finished being the widow of the week
Oh, yes.
for the Hot Young Widows Club.
How was it?
I coined perhaps the greatest term of all time.
What?
Grief torticollis.
What is a torticollis? Does anyone even know what that means besides you?
No.
Okay.
Well, no. I mean, there's people. So torticollis is like where your neck muscles are not
Oh my gosh.
flexible, and so your head is tipped to the side. Right? It happens a lot in like babies.
Oh.
So anyway, because anybody who asks you how you're doing first has to tip their head to their side and then furrow their brow.
Wow.
It's called the grief torticollis.
I'm so proud of you for you. All I can think about is tortoises.
No.
Yeah.
It's different. Okay.
That's where my brain's at.
This is the thing. I thought that was the best thing I'd ever invented, but from Mel's response, I'm starting to doubt myself.
What if it's the best thing you've ever invented for medical personnel going through grief?
What if it's which is a very small subsection of
That's like me and musicians.
the world. I'll
This
just
is you
say,
being nerdy and narrow.
in my brain,
Finally.
it was the best thing I'd ever invented. Here's the last thing I want to say. Not likely. I'll probably say more. But it is imperative for you to realize and recognize that the grief, the need, does not end at the funeral.
No. But unfortunately, a lot of the help stops then.
Yeah. Because people go back to their regular lives.
And they're like, well, it's been a week.
You're
They're fine
good.
now, right?
Yeah.
No, it gets worse and worse. I hate to say it, but it just is what it is. I actually have a few things I would like to say,
Yeah.
if that's okay.
Get a word in edgewise.
Yes. Now,
Can we go back to freezer meals? Totally joking.
oh my gosh. So I have a blog. It's called The Unicorn Widow, and I wrote a post about this stuff already.
Yeah. I read it.
Yes, before we knew each other and were
Right.
widow wives.
Yeah.
So the blog entry is called What the Grief?
It's really good.
So if anybody needs to check that out, it has some ideas in there that people have told me have been pretty helpful. Here are some suggestions that I have. Okay, number 1, send a text or an email. It doesn't have to be long. It can even say, hey, just thinking about you, and that's good enough. Number 2, leave something on their doorstep. It doesn't have to be something
Oreos.
Oreos, salt and vinegar chips, a puppy.
No, not a puppy.
Somebody offered to get Anita a puppy, and she was like, please no. And I wish that somebody had given me a puppy because I need 15 puppies to go for each of my 15 children.
Yeah.
They each need one. It doesn't. So leave something on the doorstep, and it can even be something that's free. You don't have to spend money. You could write a little card that is just thinking about you. Also, if you're an introvert and you're like, I am so awkward going to this person that I don't super know very well, talking to them about something scary, like, sorry that your husband died. You can do this. You don't have to even talk to anybody. You just leave it. You don't even have to knock on the door. What do you think?
Yes.
Great. You can also mail a card.
Wait.
What?
My neighbors put a basket on my front porch called the Sunshine Basket for people to drop stuff off in.
You have great neighbors.
I know.
I think
it was
my
a really
neighbors
good
hated
idea.
me.
Well, they
Well,
probably
they
just
did.
didn't know you as well. Do you think?
Yeah.
Because you're like
One
a
of them-
weird musician?
Yeah. One of them told my mom that the reason that they didn't help me very much is because they knew Scott better than they knew me.
Oh.
I kind of went into a big fit after that, and it was bad. Anyway, that's for another day.
Yeah. So Sunshine Basket goes along with that.
Yeah. So if you want to get really brave, you could ring the doorbell. And if they answer, you could say, here's a cookie. I'm just thinking about you. Do you guys hear the common thread? It's just saying, just thinking about you. Because even if you don't know what to say, to know that you're thought of, like we've talked about earlier, means a ton.
It's nice.
Yes. I noticed if you have a random thought and something catches your attention and it makes you think of the person in grief, don't ignore it. I feel like this happens so often,
Yes.
especially right after somebody dies. And a lot of people would say to me, oh, you crossed my mind, but I didn't know what to do, so I didn't do anything. And I think that those thoughts happen for a reason. So my suggestion is just don't ignore that. It's there for a reason, and maybe all the person needs to hear is, I'm thinking about you.
I had that happen to me this week,
Tell me.
but in the oppositesville. So there's a guy in our neighborhood whose wife died, and I think it's probably been about 5-6 years. I was on my run this Saturday, and I thought to myself, you know what? I bet that nobody ever does anything for him anymore. I should send him a text or do something nice for him. And that popped into my head. And then I was like, okay, go about your day. I got home the next day. I was looking on Facebook, I think, and his dad had died. And I was like, oh, I had totally had inspiration to reach out to him before I knew his dad died. Did I do it? No. Am I a jerk? Yes.
Totally.
Yeah.
You're a terrible
But
person.
I agree. If something comes into your mind, like the universe, whatever you believe, is telling you to do something about it.
Another suggestion I have is work on acquiring empathy. So like Anita said at the beginning, every situation is different. Everybody's reaction is different, even between the two of us. Even though we have like a common sense of humor, certain things are helpful to Anita that are not helpful to me, and vice versa.
Like a puppy.
Like a puppy. And like Lunchables for my 15 children.
Yes.
But hers will only have like Happy Meals. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They like the Happy Meals.
So, yeah, if you can kind of use your intuition and listen to those thoughts that go through your head that maybe seen as
Step into their
inspiration,
shoes.
Step into their shoes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Buy them some new shoes.
Hey.
Guys, I love Nike.
What's your shoe size, though?
8.5.
Okay. That's important to know.
So the more that you can put yourself in that person's shoes and just kind of stay in tune, the better. I feel like just because there is no right fit.
Well, and then there's more specific help and better ideas instead of being like...
There's help for every personality. Like, even if you are terrified of people or if you're really, really social, there's a way that you can help. There's room for everybody in the helping of grief and tragedy, and it doesn't have to be all the same thing. It can be as unique as you. Follow your dreams.
Follow your dream.
We as widows just want everybody to know that we are grateful for everything they've done, seen and unseen,
Right.
big or small. So thank you. We're going to get more into some funny stories later, maybe, that are what not to do. But I'm trying to stay positive today because it's been a day.
I've had some really gross casseroles. Can I just say that?
Really?
No. Don't put that in there.
Oh.
Except for I want to say
No,
it.
say it.
I know, but then people will be offended. They're so nice. They brought me a casserole.
But then it was really gross.
I'm
Cut
gonna
that
put it. No, I'm putting it in. I'm gonna.
Mel
put it
gets all of the. She gets to decide what goes in and what is not in, and that is a high power
But
to
haven't I
wield.
done a good job so far?
It's been okay. I'm just gonna. We can't record this.
I know. Well, if you learn how to edit, you're welcome to edit.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You have such power over
You
this
can
whole-
also learn a new skill.
Oh my gosh, my brain can't.
So this weekend, what are your plans?
I'm going to Hawaii next week. So I gotta get ready to go to Hawaii. That's what I'm doing this week. And it's fall break for my kids, so they're gonna be home. Which is not helpful. But we gotta pack and do stuff like that. What are you doing? You're doing something.
I have a gig in Denver.
Denver. Are you flying or driving?
I'm flying.
That's good.
Yeah.
That'll
Short
be fun.
flight.
Do you guys like fly all of your gear?
We have somebody drive it.
Oh, okay. Because that would be a whole thing.
But if it's too far, then we do what's called backlining. Do you know what that is?
Of course not.
Okay. There are these companies called backline companies, and basically they're instrument rental companies.
Oh.
So if I say, hey, I'm going to backline a keyboard, it means I'm renting a keyboard.
Why do they call it backlining?
I don't know.
Why can't they call it normal stuff? Why do they have to call
Music
it like
instrument rental?
torticollis?
Well, you
Yeah.
tortoises? Now I want to go to the Galapagos. That's making me think of Galapagos.
Oh,
I've been to Ecuador.
You have?
Mm-hmm.
I haven't.
Yeah.
I've been to Brazil.
Ooh.
That's
fun.
all I've ever been to. And South Dakota 3 times.
And other than that, Utah and Idaho.
No, I mean, I have been.
And now you're going to Hawaii.
Now I'm going to Hawaii.
Which island?
Maui.
And what's the name of the race?
The Xterra World Championships.
So this is a big deal, everybody.
It's a big deal.
A big deal.
And I'm coming down with a cold.
Yep.
Or something.
She has SARS.
I was thinking bubonic plague.
Oh yeah, that's coming back, right? That's like making a comeback, I hear, in San Diego.
Really? I did not hear
Just
that.
Google it.
I heard that they figured out that they were coming from the fleas. Bubonic plague came from the fleas, not necessarily the rats themselves.
Oh, interesting.
Ebola.
I think you have AIDS.
I don't have that. Actually, maybe.
Have you heard the song Everyone Has AIDS?
No.
It's my favorite. Well, thank you for joining us today.
Hopefully this information was helpful.
And
Thanks for joining us as we try to figure out
what do we do now? This is my favorite thing to discuss with you.
Tell me, what is it?
One of my favorite things. I do enjoy tacos and cheese and dogs. This is about how you cannot pay hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a phone plan, especially when you're a widow, your person is dead, you might have kids, you might need another option, and you just want your phone to work, you want unlimited texting and service, and you want it to be like $25 a month.
It blows my mind that they have plans that start at $15 a month. That is so cheap. And the cool thing is it uses other 5G networks, and so you don't have to pay extra for that, and you still get great service.
Yep, Anita and I have traveled all over, and I have used my phone. So I highly recommend it. And my mom's even on it. When my dad died, we put his phone down to the cheapest plan, which is $15 a month. And I think my mom's on the $20 a month plan, and it's so worth it. It's so much cheaper than what we were all paying before. So I highly recommend it if you're on a budget or not. Who cares? Ryan Reynolds is in charge of the company, and they send you free stickers with Ryan Reynolds temporary tattoos. It's kind of the best. So if somebody wants to sign up, what can they do, Anita?
Go to trymintmobile.com/WWDN. Seriously, you guys, such a great idea. Save yourself some money.
And if you're worried about losing data or having any changes with your phone, not going to happen. They walk you through it. Everything's fine. It's the easiest process of all time. Again, that's
trymintmobile.com/WWDN.